Hello, really happy to be here in awesome panel. So I'll just introduce myself quickly and will introduce and I'll give you a brief about this really insightful panel. So my name is Mark. I'm publishing in Supersonic. Actually joining the company at the very beginning. I'm responsible for major titles published in this company. With Roee first IPO and acquisition of Unity. Actually, I'm here. Today we're going to be participating in this insightful, I would say, the most interesting panel of this summit, joking. There's a lot of more interesting stuff. Actually, the title of this panel is Game Development and Publishing in the Mobile Gaming Market. We'll try to cover as much as possible, yet we are capped on time. Prepare your questions and stay tuned. I'll brief quickly our participants. So we have Roee Raz. Roee Raz is the founder and CEO of OVIVO Games, a Tel Aviv-based mobile game publisher that specialized in hyper-casual and hyper-casual games. OVIVO mission is to empower game development to build profitable businesses, publishing their games through its innovative and publishing approach. With over 10 years of experience, so it's going to be really interesting to hear Roee's takeaways and takes on this panel. We have Sergey Martinkevich, the guy you heard before, has a really interesting approach and insightful, interesting information. Sergey is the publishing lead and head of studio at Azur Games, Cyprus-based mobile game publisher and developer. At the moment, Azur Games is founded to be the top publisher by downloads in the world.
But Supersonic is near, so we're not relaxed.
We're always near. As well as Azur feel much comfortable with the IP approach and largest contribute in these terms a lot. Being the game dev for more than 5 years, Sergey published more than 50 games, accounted for more than 1 billion downloads. It's a huge achievement.
A lot of work, man.
Yeah, it's big time. Valeria Novoshinskaya. Sorry, just tried to learn the pronouncement. So Valeria Novoshinskaya is a senior publishing manager at TapNation with over 2.5 years of experience in gaming overall. Currently, Valeria is responsible for hyper-casual, casual, and hyper-casual projects in the company. Originally, Valeria is from Ukraine, and Valeria mainly concentrating on the Eastern European market and has the know-how approach to any studio to make the publishing process easy, fast, and successful. And we have Victor. We have Victor Vielliard. Amazing. Victor is the senior business development manager at Homa, French-based hyper-casual and hyper-casual publisher. Victor has been working in Homa for 3 years now, leading all the business development activities for the company, Tower Studios. Before that, Victor worked in the gaming industry for 2 years, founding companies such as Roee Raz and Ubisoft. Awesome. At Homa, Victor is the one responsible for finding and scouting actually the new studios, partners that work with us, not us, it's Homa, on private casual projects. And let's start for the start of the amazing participant. Please clap and please our participant. So the question actually has been asked by Sergey in the previous session. The legendary question. So hyper-casual, is it dead? Who wants to take it?
I will start, I think. So as Sergey said, we hear that hyper-casual is dying for 5-6 years, right? Every year we're dealing with this question. I think to answer to this question, we need to... Yeah, makes distance. So I think we should answer the question of what is hyper-casual, because hyper-casual is not a gaming genre per se. I mean, it's a business model. Under this business model, we can find puzzle games, as Sergey suggested, like runners, shooters, idle, etc. But they are all different games under the hyper-casual business model, which is basically based on low CPIs, heavily based on ads monetization. So this is hyper-casual. Now it's evolving, it's changing, we see a saturation in the market, we see that the competition is increasing. we see that CPI is increasing a little bit, so that's why developers and publishers have put more focus on improving the game, make it bottom line, make the LTV higher by improving retention, level funnel, playtime, etc., etc. The more playtime, the better opportunities to monetize. So it's evolving into more meta features, more engaging features, and that's the change that I see. So it's not time, just evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly concur with you, right? It's only evolving. I mean, you talk about the competition. We all clearly agree on that. We saw like so many studios going on hyper-casual. But let's talk also about the fact that I think our users, our players, they got educated. And when you're educated to something, you still want it, but you want it with better quality. And because the players wanted better games, the publishers adapted to that and start building games with more depth to engage the players, to aim for long-term retention, etc. So overall, it's changing toward quality, and that's the real shift, right? Before it was about volume, and now it's all about making quality games to engage players. Hyper-casual is not dead. I mean, I think at Homa we're the leading proof of that with Ataco. You know, we launched it in Q1 2023. It was a top. We did 50 million. But it's just that we managed to get this game high because we took a concept that was already proven back then. We all played all.io. We all knew this game. But what made the success of it is about inserting new layers of content. A mix of mechanics so we could engage the players and offer something better, and that's how it works. So it's clearly not dead, but the studios, I think we all need to evolve towards making more quality.
To be honest, I fully agree on what Victor said, and I would say that when hyper-casual started like back in the days, and we all entered this sphere, and we were very hyped on making like very easy money on millions and millions of downloads. People started to get bored of just like the same concept that they were pitching, and at the moment market is trying to, first of all, as Victor said, educate people, and people are willing to have more deep concepts. And if we're posing this question, if hyper-casual is that, no, I don't think so, because we would not be here if it was that. But is it evolving? Is it bringing us something new? Yes, for sure, and it's up to us, to publishers and as well the developers, to come up with like more and more deeper, interesting concepts. And I do believe that like in the future there will be some more runners with like different mechanics implemented, maybe some more styles that will come up with that will inspire people, and they will come back and play. But overall, like if we're taking the market that started, let's say like 17, 18, and then like we had the very huge boom in 2020 with the COVID, we were all doing pretty little games, and after like one of the publishers came up with the idea to do arcade idle. We never thought about it before, but we started thinking, and right now it's one of the core, I would say one of the core like games that we're producing. So let's see what the market is bringing in the future, like this year, next year, with which concepts will come up and how people will be able to basically like lead this market.
Short, like 5 years ago when I started working in hyper-casual, 5 years ago I heard first time that hyper-casual is dying. And I was like, wow, I only started and it is dying. Good news. A good day to die, like, you know, old song by, I don't remember, Man of War, old heavy metal, a good day to die. So no, actually, I don't believe it. The model, oh my god, what a wonderful microphone. The model is dying, like the model when publishers pay a lot of money to studios, it is dying because it has so few chances for publisher to work within this model and to earn something, that publishers stopped doing it. But the whole genre, if you speak about the genre, if you speak about low entry threshold level games, and if you speak about these simple games that actually becoming more and more complicated, it's not dying, it is evolving. So that's it.
Awesome. Actually, you remember that these games of role with the new runners. So you spoke about runners and actually about that, and still you see how it.
Yeah, it is like right now we even see the surge because the genre, the whole subgenre is rethinked. Because no one could even imagine several years ago that in a simple hyper-casual runner game we will see like 3 phases of gameplay. Sorry, it is me, I don't know what's happening. Like 3 phases of gameplay, and moreover, good in-app income, like merch weapon runner, this by Roee game, the last one, it has about maybe 3k or 6k per day of in-app. It is not bad for a hyper-casual runner, come on. It is an extremely rare case, but still we see this case, and I believe it is on the beginning, so let's see.
Amazing. So basically, as far as I understand from your answers, we actually come up with some really major shifts in the shifts happening in our industry. So from your perspective, what are the reasons for those shifts? What are happening, and actually where those shifts are taking us?
I'll take it. I'll start. We talked about increasing CPI. Okay, so CPI increase, it's a given. I mean, it's a fact. It's became more challenging to keep your monetization as simple as it used to be before, based on interstitials and rewarded videos, and that's it. So the reason for this evolvement is starting from that, from the CPI. Then to solve this problem, you need to, and together, by the way, with the fact that that users are not, they get used to it. I mean, they get used to these simple games, and when publishers release games that are more interesting, more engaging, then there is a whole new benchmark of what the demand from the user side. So that's the 2 main reasons. I mean, the users are more educated, the CPIs increase, and then you need to come up with a solution that will keep the simplicity. The magic of simplicity is still there. I mean, the simple mechanics still works. The challenge is to combine between 2 different simple mechanics in two different games, combining it into one, but it's still there. So that's
Yeah, I think the major shift into what you were mentioning about the CPI rating is now also, I would say we are ending what I would call the tyranny of the CPI, meaning that we're not driving growth by aiming for low CPI. We're driving growth by aiming for a very high LTV. And you get a high LTV when you're aiming for long-term retention, strong playtime, per session, etc. And I think this is a major shift today in the market, because back then we were all, it was the law of the big numbers. Let's test as many prototypes, let's try to get as many low CPI, and let's push them, and at one point we'll get a game published. Right now it's let's spend more time on fewer games, but making sure we have a stable day 1, then a stable day 7, then a stable day 15 up to a day 30, day 60, etc. Because right now I think we start to understand that we can compensate a high CPI if you have an amazing LTV. So pushing games at 60 cents, at 80 cents, even $1 can be fine, as long as you can push game with again strong retention, with wealth potential, focusing on in-app purchase, etc. So I think this is a major shift. I mean, at least I think for all the publishers concerning the games that we're now making.
I would like to double click just on what you said about growth, because growth was very attractive in the market 1.5 years ago, 1 year ago, when many companies went to public and everyone were chasing for installs, hitting the charts. It was not a rare situation where we saw a hit charts game that is basically not profitable. I mean, publishers were pumping games with low CPIs just to reach this point of hitting the charts, showing the public that they nailed it, but profit was not the main KPI. Nowadays, the market demands something else. I mean, the stock market, the whole market look for profitability, and profitability is the king, while growth is not that attractive.
Yeah, I would say regarding what you just said, I think it shifted in the way that we're searching more for the profitability and for titles that might not be that huge and not reaching the like first, second, third position in the top charts, but are profitable just because back in the days, most of us were searching for the names and for the recognition from the movie. So most of the studios just wanted to be there to show up saying that like, yeah, we did this game, so like if we're not happy with this publisher, we will be able to find any other publisher because we were on the top charts, because we've been through this like production cycle and so on. Whereas right now I'm saying that there's less and less people that are coming in the industry, but those who are staying, they're very passionate about what they're doing, and they're indeed searching to like dive deeper in what is the product about and how we can make money and sustain and retain this for the longer and longer and longer. I think like Mark, from your side, like one of the games that we're still seeing in the top charts was the Bridge Race. Like this is the title that was in the top charts and right now is bringing like more and more and more gamers even now. And this is something that like I would say all the publishers are searching for, to be able to click, show on the market that like we did a good product, and then be able to sustain it for like not really only a couple of months, but years and years.
Yeah, I fully agree with colleagues, and I would say that now more and more we see games like, for example, a week ago we published a game and it has amazing ad spends per day, like it is $50,000 per day of ad spends, but it has worldwide $1 worldwide. So it has only 50,000 K downloads per day. It will never be in top chart, never. But it is. But this one game is more effective in terms of profit, like maybe like 10 average hyper casual games. But if you speak about shift, I would add not how it shifted, but maybe the reason, because the whole industry finally received a good slap to the face, because we were thinking like we are not part of global economics, and but we are. And right now the main reason why it is happening, because we are part of worldwide economy, and we anyway have to understand it, that worldwide recession or negative expectations from investors and big advertisers also affect even such a mysterious industry like hyper-casual and like gaming at all. So finally, yeah, it is the first slap, actually, it is the first slap industry received, the first only one. And look what's happening, a lot of panic like posts and so on. So we are in historic time, and if we manage all together by holding hands and continue making games, I believe that we'll overcome this challenge, and anyway there will be some corrections and growth. So yeah, thank you.
It's definitely a time for. I agree with you when you say holding game. I feel like it's because those are hard times to find money, it's hard time to publish strong games, etc. I feel it's a time for collaboration, and you can see that today. I mean, collaboration between studios, collaboration between publishers, game being bought and rescaled, studios transferring their games to other studios that are able to take it to the finish line. You're seeing also consolidation quite a lot, acquisition of ad networks, acquisition of other studios, etc. Because everybody's trying to partner up and improve their skills on this.
Let's collaborate today in the bar.
Pleasure.
It's amazing. It's actually, I'm taking to like as a conclusion, so I think like the model of hyper casual, which is ad based, is going down. The CPI, CPMs has a new formula, has a new weight balance. We have like a new games approach, a new in games approach, which is much more deeper games, several mechanics, several layer engagement, which takes me to the next question is, so you see hybrid casual is kind of trying to over-dominate. Hyper casual means that is hybrid casual is the new hyper casual, is Steven asking? And if so, is hybrid casual currently in the phase it's a mature subgenre? Is it got to its place that it's ready, it's baked? And if not, what would be the next evolution, the next steps for this genre to grow?
But probably ask the question when you're saying hybrid casual, what exactly specifically you as a publisher meaning by this? Because I feel that all of us, like all of the colleagues, are judging it in a bit different way. So by saying hybrid casual, you mean the games with like more in-app purchases, more like longer playtime, bigger retention and so on, or it's basically like the games like I would say runners that have just like a very high innate.
So basically, as we said, that the new approach, actually I'm combining the two answers from Sergey and from Roee about how the games are monetized, right? So we're talking about ad monetized games, interactive ads, either RVs, right? So you should be disappointed there. Then we said that the same runners, and Sergey presented his presentation, that the same hyper-casual games would be hybridized, right? Means of IP and in terms of how you take these games, creating additional engagement layers, creating longer retention, longer engagement with the game. So if hyper-casual has its kind of standard KPIs in terms of like what should we expect from the good runner, like 40%, and along like 10%, the 7, etc. So the hybrid casual has much more like such different KPIs should be taken into consideration. So hybrid casual, I would say, it's a business model. It's evolved business model of the same hybrid casual games. Yet you cannot bring it like a single runner where you just go and collect and you have no use of the coins you collect, as Sergey said. So yes, it makes sense for you.
I think what people need to understand is, for me, hybrid casual will never replace hyper casual because it's a whole different line of products. So which means like in hyper casual we'll still have new players first of all, and we'll still have quick wins to get. We'll still have very specific trends that you can turn into a game very fast, and you can still have some quick win, or just remake a concept with mechanics, as I was saying with Attaco, for example. But hybrid casual, it's a whole new line of product, a more mature one, as we said, with you're combining. You're taking best of both worlds, from hyper casual and from the casual one. You're taking an easy concept, an easy mechanic to understand, an easy go, and you're just adding more depths for the players. So I don't know, light RPG elements, social features, multiplayers, etc. Because you want to drive your long-term retention, because you want to drive your revenue, especially through in-app purchase. And to answer your question, I do think that you need a whole complete new workflow to work on that kind of product. This is what we did at Homa. I think the mistake that a lot of people did was to consider a hybrid game the same way you consider a hyper-casual one. So aiming for low CPI, and also like aiming to get a prototype very fast, etc. Which was and it created a lot of failure. I think you need a whole new workflow. You need to understand that if you want a polished game, if you want a quality game, as we were saying just before, you need time, right? So you need to adapt your whole publishing flow. You need to adapt your whole workflow. You need to make your studio understand that they need to work at least 1 month on the prototype to get it tested. If it passes, you need to have, as I was saying, an in-game metric focus and not a CPI focus anymore. So we're talking about benchmark like 45 day one, and we're talking about playtime day 0 of 30 minutes. We're talking, at least at Homa, about we can go up to a $1.2 CPI. So as you can see, it's very high compared to the benchmark of hyper casual. And then, yeah, you need time. You need to build a framework, build a roadmap that is closer to casual. We're talking about 6 to 9 months of production, actually, for a game before it launched. And then we're talking about live ops, because you need to bring new content, you need to improve your economy and get your whales into the game and keep them into your game so they keep on spending. So it's a whole new process. It doesn't mean that it will replace hyper casual, it's just a new thing. Just to finish also, I think that hyper casual is an entry point for new players, but also for new studios that want to go in mobile gaming. It's easy, etc. And as they get more skills, they can go toward hybrid. They can more complex games. I think it's just it's just the industry maturing and bringing new product.
I'm not fully agree with you in a way that it's become interesting, right? We all agree. Let's not agree about something. So that it's a whole new product line in a way that is like separate from hyper-casual, completely separate. I see that hyper-casual is kind of the new prototype for hybrid casual. I mean, if you have a strong mechanics and a strong core game loop that works well on hyper-casual, then it's a very good reason to, and it generates profits, and it's a very good reason to iterate on it, to run more A/B tests, to add more content. And I do think that Pre-Trace is a very good example for a game that started with a stacking mechanics, IO kind of with stacking mechanics. That is, it was very hyper casual. Okay, combining two great concepts: IO game, stacking, cool. Now, when you see like the gates that were added from runners, and that there is a map that is making them improving retention, and the user have more reason to chase about different collectibles and different things to upgrade. So it's basically a hybrid game. That's why it's tricky, the title of hybrid casual, because you can find in hybrid casual the classic arcade idle games. Homa doing a great job with arcade idle games, and there are like the puzzle games or combination of different mechanics from different hyper casual games that start as a hyper casual as a good prototype. And once you see a good performance, then it's a good reason to build on that. So, to sum it up, to wrap it up, I think that a hyper casual is kind of a milestone that if you see profits, if you generate profits on it, it's a good reason to shift to hybrid.
I would add that hyper casual will not be replaced by hybrid casual. By the way, I don't like hybrid casual. I don't like to call it hybrid casual. It is still hyper casual. If you speak about genre, it is still hyper casual because it is low entry threshold level, because it is a specific kind of progression and content delivery. But okay, if you speak about either genre or we speak about the way we monetize, anyway, I believe that hyper casual will remain, because once again, better not fool yourself. Not our users, I mean hyper casual, they are not, all of them are not ready to pay. Whatever a game will be like, I believe in market laws. I believe that there is a volume of users from hyper casual that can be converted to payers, and it is exactly one level. It is like how Web 2 gamers tried to be converted to Web 3 gamers. No, because the market is not ready right now. And the same thing with hyper casual and with in-app purchases. Like, I believe that there is a volume of users that, due to some circumstances worldwide, they are ready to pay. And right now, interesting times, because we don't know where this final line. We don't know the volume of in-app market for hyper casual as a product genre. So I believe that hyper casual will become more and more complicated because in-app purchases in hyper casual, it is response to what's happening in the world. It is not like something organically like transformation. It is response to the market, and we don't know where are the limits. So anyway, we will see good titles in hyper casual and new good titles in hybrid casual, such called hybrid casual. Debatable.
Just add some tiny bits on what you said, Sergey. I think we should not forget though, and that's why maybe I disagree a bit with you, where we only talk about hyper-casual players going for hybrid, meaning that, okay, they won't all be players, etc. I still do think that we're forgetting that with hybrid, we're also trying to get all the mid-core and hardcore players to get into the hybrid game. Because let's be honest, and I think there's many hardcore and mid-core players of mobile game here in this room, but sometimes when you're in the subway or whatever, you just like to enjoy a simple game with a light RPG thing that reminds you of all the big games that you love to play. But here it's pretty simple, easy to play. I think this is why Archero was such a massive success. Because Archero, it wasn't like new players that much playing it, but it was actually players coming from hardcore games, midcore games that would identify way better with that game, and the mechanic was super easy, right? So I think with hybrid we can really count on these players to come into the game and actually be the one that will spend, because they will get a better emotional attachment, I would say, maybe to our product.
I agree. I want to, it just remind me the day that I saw soap cutting hitting the charts. Do you remember soap cutting game? I was looking at it and I was saying, what is going on? Like, they took simplicity to the edge. There is not even a way to fail in this game. It's like 100% ASMR based. The mechanic is simple, stupid, and it's hit the charts. I mean, it's no argue about it. So now I don't see such a game that's doing it again. I mean, it was like for me it was a milestone that took the hyper casual to the edge. And nowadays, I think that I can tell you that, for example, we add a layer of we put much more focus on economical behavior in the game. It's something that we had never did before. We collaborate, by the way, with Platera AI. They're Israeli startup that focus on that, and it's something that we had never thought about before, and we are shifting to look also on economical behavior, psychology behind the decisions that the player made. Mostly, by the way, not on in-app purchase, but on rewarded videos, like how to make them watch more RVs. RVs are still a premium ad unit that generate almost double CPM versus interstitial. It also contributes to the user experience because it's initiated by the user, so we put more focus on that, and things that we have never done a year ago or 2 years ago.
So in RV and IP story, it's kind of like stuff that they actually pretty much in the same show as IP, which is paid with your money, and RV paid with your time, like with your money. And at some point, like I definitely see some combination of these two possession approaches. Anyway, so it feels that not everything is aligned. Like if you had like probably really serious consensus alignment on runners how it should be like 3 years ago. So today we have a hybrid, hyper, different, not different, same, not same. What is actually hybrid and stuff like that? It is a challenge for the market, right? So I just want to talk about the challenges that we see. First of all, let's talk about challenges that our partners, our publishers, the studios, the developers are facing. And if you would say like what is the main challenge our developers, our partners are facing these times, considering the lack of consensus, right, and a lot of cool stuff.
Mike, I think we should be humble here and ask the developers what are the challenge. I mean, I think
Actually,
how many of you are game developers in the audience, just to understand with whom we're like, okay, game developers, how many try to publish a game with a publisher? You sit in front of the biggest publisher as well, right? So how many of you tried to publish a game?
The greatest one.
Okay, very few, not a lot. How many of you managed to generate more than $10,000, not by paper prototype, but just publish a game, just $10,000 profit? Great. Two. More than $20,000 profit? One. Two. $30,000 profit. Great. So you see, this is the challenge. I think this is the challenge, right? It's really hard to publish a game. It's remain a challenge. The chances to publish a game with a publisher is are very low. This is something we at OVIVO trying to deal with and to improve the chance to publish a game, because we have a little bit different approach than the giants here. I mean, the giants can't, or most of the time don't want or not aim to generate like $50,000 profit or $100,000. You're looking at much higher numbers, and I think that most of the developers bottom lines are very happy from $20,000, $30,000. It sometimes can be a game changer. So that's where we try to solve this pain for the developers at OVIVO.
So basically, you said that the main challenge is for the developers is to find a proper publisher for them and for their businesses? Like,
I think that the developer have the power to check every developer, and basically something that is still remain since the beginning of hyper-casual, that most of the time it starts with marketability test and this proof of potential. That this is a phase that developers should still try to do with every publisher that they believe in. I think that developers should understand the industry now. The developers are also educated. They understand what they tried and worked and what they tried and didn't work, and they should find the best publisher for them.
I can share some thoughts because being the head of studio, I understand all the pains of developers. And for example, when you get used to creating hyper-casual and then you want to make a deck builder or auto battler game, it hurts. And a lot of challenges actually, starting from technical culture, from product culture, and one of the biggest challenges is living costs, because if you're independent, it is difficult to be independent. And if you live, for example, I don't know, if you live in Europe or in the United States, it's difficult to find time and resources and to find some more guys and start making something called independently. It's a very difficult challenge, as well as find a publisher who will believe in you and who will give you financing or an investor. But the biggest challenge anyway is product culture, because even if you have money, I see so many times when developers try to do something more difficult than hyper-casual, they just lack of experience, they lack of expertise. They don't care about game design. They think it is game design, but it is not game design. It is about producing. They are maybe producers, but not game designers, because they don't care about balance, about progression, and they think that they like games, but they don't play even them the way you have to play to do a genre. For example, you will never create a strategy, mobile strategy, if you haven't played like, I don't know, maybe several hundred hours and decompose your gameplay experience. So it is a lack of experience, by the way. Very popular, like costs and publishers, but actually I see that lack of experience and expertise in the genre you try to work.
Construction of many artists, not only, right?
Yeah.
Suggest to
Oh my god, thank you so much.
And then we have Zvi now.
But you've done the best, slowly.
But I'm going to completely agree, and sorry, sometimes we agree way too much, but with Sergey, I was about to say that for me, the main challenge is really for studios is all about the knowledge they have, the learnings. Meaning that I think today they had lots of habits from hyper-casual that they need to forget. As I was saying, working too fast, with low polish assets, etc., trying to do everything, a little bit of runner, a little bit of Akadaido, a little bit of that, and they don't take the time to compose their games, to understand what kind of skill set they need to build this kind of games. It's also about, I think, they need to understand what kind of team also they want, what kind of ambition they want for the studio. We saw a lot also of hyper-casual studio that recruited like a very big team to again work in volume, and I think today this is not possible anymore. So there's a real knowledge challenge to get. I think you can find everywhere. I think we're all pushing different I would say either article, podcast. I know Mark, you're doing one with Kevin from Rising High Academy. So yeah, we try. I think we're all trying. Okay, to give as much as possible to educate the developers with the data that we have and all the resources we bought and through the work of the publishing managers also. But everybody wants to be in this hybrid trends, but I think there's a point where you need to understand that maybe you can't for now. And if you understand that, it's going to be a strength rather than a weakness, and you're going to grow, and you're going to be able at one point to go hybrid?
I would say that at the moment I feel that a lot of studios are getting a little bit confused when it comes to the publisher to actually outline and I would say deal with this challenge of where the studio should stand, because a lot of studios, like what I've had this experience recently, they're coming saying that we're ready to do anything. Like we can go with hybrid casual, we can go with hyper casual, just take us and then we will decide on like where exactly we stand depending on the KPIs, the results and so on. And to be honest, I would say that and I would suggest actually to the studios to try to concentrate on what exactly you want to do as the studio, and if you're ready to jump into like deeper metrics, you want to do hybrid, then restructure yourself, think what exactly has to be changed internally in the studio in order to deliver on point. Because I would never say that if you're coming saying that we'll do hyper casual and then there is the product that gives us like a very high CPI but the in-game metrics are okay, and you'll be like, let's try to push it. It doesn't work like this. Let's try to divide, and I would say we're basically right now revamping a little bit the hyper casual, and we're creating hybrid casual. So I would say that as the publisher, I'm asking you to try to divide and specify for yourself what exactly you want to do in order to concentrate on it, to put like more knowledge into it, more like your time, and then yeah, it's going to be easier for both of the sides to work in this mode.
Maybe specifically a couple of challenges we have tried staying in the different communities. The requirements of them in terms of money and investment that it requires for the studio to proceed and to develop these kind of games. Not everyone is capable of going to hyper casual. Some studios need to understand that they probably need to learn, to probably to expand their knowledge. And we as a publishers probably need to guide and educate and even help our studios to find their own way. And maybe we should and we have to find a way how we help the studios that not probably meant to make some huge, massive hits, to help them leverage this means for them.
Exactly.
One more challenge I'm facing right now. You can't imagine when you have best friends sitting in the hall and staring at you like that, and you try not to laugh. It just thank you for your support, guys.
We'll try to run faster. It's that you just get prepared your questions if you have some, so we'll have a bit time for Q&As. So in terms of monetization, and we touched a bit before, so we see that there's a lot of like hybrid RVIP stuff that comes in, the several mechanics, the engagement, or retention. It seems that we have a bunch of new KPIs, a bunch of new terms and metrics to look at. Alright? So monetizing games, hybrid casual, let's say, let's call it just for the panel, for the standard here. What are the KPIs you are looking at? Is it still the same retention day one playtime, or there's several new KPIs into your population?
We look on the combination between CPI and playtime day zero. I mean, and yeah, it depends. Like we have a benchmark for, let's say, 30 cent CPI, then like a playtime of 8 minutes day zero. Then like in between 30 cents, 40 cents, and then we are adjusting the playtime. The higher the CPI, the playtime should be also accordingly.
So basically, it's the CPI and the playtime. These are the two measures that actually counts these times of your.
Exactly. I would say that it's like our KPIs are much more, I would say, we have much higher tolerance. I mean, we accept games that basically sometimes got a reject from other publisher, and that's the bright side of the challenge, guys. Like if you receive a reject, it doesn't mean you need to give up. Of course, sometimes the reject is for a good reason, but sometimes it's just the game rejected because it can't hit the charts, but it doesn't mean that it can generate profits. So then we test the game based on the combination of CPI day zero playtime. We aim, it sounds kind of weird, but think about it, it's very basic. We aim for LTV that is higher than CPI in the test. That's it. And it's a result of playtime and CPI. And once we see LTV that is higher than CPI or even break even, by the way, not necessarily in the US. Sergey said Indonesia, I agree with you. The market is much wider than the US. And by the way, the marketing channels are also much wider than Facebook only or TikTok only. There are many ways to acquire users in many different markets. So there is a potential of generating LTV that is higher than the CPI. Once you reach this point, this is a game changer because then you get more users. To get more users, you can analyze the data, you can run more A/B tests, you can improve the LTV, you can make efforts to reduce the CPI, and this is the process.
I mean, so obviously, so here we have a different method than OVIVO. As I was saying, we don't really care about the CPI up to 1.2. This is like a limit, but again, it's quite high for even for hybrid, so it's fine. So for the first test, it's going to be 45 day 1 and 30 minutes playtime day 0 in total. So that's like the two metrics we're going to look at. And then after, because we're building like a roadmap custom to each project, they're gonna be custom metric based on what's the game. You're not looking at you're not expecting the same thing from a puzzle, from a tower defense, from an arcade idol, etc. One metrics that that for us is really important. Obviously, retention is always important through the whole roadmap. Again, as I was saying, day 7, day 15, but we're gonna have target on day 30 and even day 60. For example, as a defense, Aquarium Land, we all have a day 30 around 9%, which was a good, I would say, a real achievement for us. But the two main new KPIs that we take a look at is first the game completion, which is a very informative KPI to understand if the players liked your game and engage with it.
Completion, you mean like completing all the content?
Exactly, all the content to the end. So at least all the levels, some games have, they generate new level, but there's like no new content, you're just stuck in the same area. But yeah, completing everything. And the last metrics, which something Mark you mentioned over this panel quite a few times, is the in-app percentage, EAP, percentage from your revenue. So our target at Homa is every hybrid game that we push, we target to have at least 30% of the revenues coming from in-app purchase. So this is what we managed to achieve with Crowd Defense, with Aquarium Land, with Z Defense, and for the new generation of games that will be pushed out. We're aiming for more, obviously, but the ceiling has to be 30%. Because again, we aim for high revenue, but more than high revenue, obviously, we aim for stable revenue. And there's, obviously, nothing more stable than having EAP with waves inside your game that will spend. So yeah, this is the
What percent AP is the
exactly, it was like 5%.
Changes hybrid. And then can you guys say
To be honest, while we were also looking at inflation is something called cumulative playtime. Basically, the metric that allow us to track the users and have, I would say, not only users that are reversing back to us on the day 5, 7, 10, and so on, but actually those that are coming should play for like at least X amount of seconds. So like it cannot be people that are coming for like 10 seconds, just like opening the app and then closing, but actually engaging with the content on the longer days. And because of this, I would say that in any case, all of the metrics that we were looking at in hyper casual, they still stay the same. I mean, like it's always CPI, playtime, retention, and as well LTV, but they now shifted to like I would say just deeper metrics.
What about us? We have something maybe what's happening in Homa. And what about me personally? I also look through completion. I look through churn rates and within content delivery frames. Like I understand how much content I have and I analyze through the churn rates how users play this content, and when they finish all the content that's happening there, as well as average revenue per paying user, as well, yes, I should call the proportion of how much in-app, and we also don't care about CPI at all. Maybe even starting from 3 years ago, we were looking at CPI, but on retention rate, on playtime, and on completion. So I think that we can move forward. Nothing we see.
Guys, is there questions here in the audience? Like, how many questions should just need to adjust for this question? So I'll ask one question and then right? So I have several questions in the back, and I was just going through with the most positive one, right? So now we have like all this, we should consider what has been next. This market, gaming industry, and eventually not anything completely. So if you wish the next, what would be the next step? What would the next step you wish for this industry? Where you think it's only possible to move further?
So for me, the main thing that I wish, but I still think it will happen, is basically leveraging IPs. I think for me this is going to be a next step for all the hybrid games, and then maybe at one point casual, etc., is to leverage more and more IPs. So there is different way of doing that. There is either using an existing IP and put it inside the game. So basically what Fortnite has been doing, but we could do it way more into hybrid casual. I know it was done in some mid-core already in casual, but I think in hybrid this could be the next step. You can also maybe leverage your own existing IP, and this is what we have been doing with Homa. We took Valentine, which was a character from Skyroller. We created a whole TikTok community around it. We had like 300k people following the TikTok account, and we created an existing character of Valentine inside Aquarium Land. So just to see how much traffic it brings to the game, just to see the impact of it. And I think this is something that will exist more and more. The third thing that I see also is, and we're seeing companies proposing this kind of services where they will bring not, I would say, existing IP for the gameplay, like Fortnite and Marvel, etc., but existing IP for like collectibles or etc. So you might have in a fashion arcade idol game, for example, you will have a Louis Vuitton bag branded or things like that. Anything that can draw the community. Exactly, friend brand. No, but like you have like plenty of different IPs. I don't know, like maybe you could say an arcade idol game with McDonald's or things like that. See, everybody has already thought of it, so this is a common example. But I think we'll see more and more.
You guys have like a
Exactly. We already experimented with the nerd game. It was interesting. It's hard to work with an IP, obviously, because you have quite a lot of things to respect. But I mean, the nerd game was a success. So.
I will be happy to be the first one to say generative AI here in this panel. Okay, so I would like to see more generative AI platform services that are affecting the industry. We start on the publishing side. I think on the ads creation, the creative briefs should work much faster with ChatGPT. Then we have text-to-speech platforms. Then we have text-to-music. I don't know if you saw David Guetta concert that he played Eminem voice, which is absolutely not Eminem. So it will be very interesting. Just think about adding Eminem voice in a game, which is IP-free basically. Like the copyrights are not like no one can claim that it's Eminem can claim it's Eminem because it's not. So just give me some ideas of how to integrate generative AI into games. I'm not even talking about producing games based on generative AI because I think we're not there yet. But definitely adding some ready-to-use features in game in a creative way, just take the creativity into a whole new level.
No, for creatives it works, yeah, generative creative ads and definitely. who have tried it.
Probably wish our industry, first of all, inspiration for the future is going to be very, I would say, subjective here, because I think the business that we're doing is pretty tough and a lot of people are burning out easily. Take into account that, like, yes, the market is shifting, we're all experiencing some recession. I feel that people are being a little bit, like, you know, stuck and maybe afraid of, like, invest further, they're quitting, they're doing something else. So I would definitely suggest that, yes, let's get all inspired in order to push the industry further, potentially find the new concept of the games, potentially, like, see how the industry is evolving. Now we're talking about hybrid casual. Let's see, maybe in the year we're going to be talking about something else on top of what we're doing at the moment. And I'm more than sure that, like, we will be able to include the AI in gaming. Let's see how this can be, like, you know, tricked, what exactly we'll take from it, and yeah, inspiration to everybody.
Instead of good, I think people are really scared and burned out in this really frustrating industry. So probably, you know, like to wish like everyone just calm down and everything to do it, chill. Sergey,
Yeah, I wish our industry had less influence from match 3 and more to hybrid casual leagues. No, it's a perfect genre, but I'm speaking about the volume it holds. It really holds. It holds critically. But anyway, I see what's happening on the market, and I really believe that this influence of match 3 will decrease. It is what I wish, but what I really think will change, unfortunately, but I really believe that Web3 will prevail. Anyway, if you speak about worldwide, come on. If you speak about tier 3 countries, if you speak about volume, it is such a critical mass of volume for our industry. And unfortunately, Web3 idea is very nice for tier 3 countries, because you cannot just play, but I'm not speaking even about play to earn, but what is blockchain in games? It is about also infrastructure, it is about communication, it is about like, you know, understanding proportions, spend time and getting some new words. And anyway, I really believe, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 3 years, but I believe that Web3 will grow critically. I know that Homa Games as well as Azur Games tried in Web3, and I don't know how was your experience. I can't call our experience shitty because we're in the right time and in the right place, but anyway, it wasn't something, it was not a very, it's not a pleasure journey, you know. But anyway, I knew so much from it, and I met so many cool guys from Web3, some really genius guys, and when we were discussing and even arguing with them, because I'm a classical gamer and a game developer, very old-fashioned, and I can't like, you know, accept it. But anyway, I had to. I finally understood that anyway, it is what we should expect. So, but let's see.
Amen. One question, actually, I'm just running out of time, so not one question. Can you even make it or something, or just stand? Yeah, you big and you can, yeah.
So I'm curious about the fact that specifically because I'm not really familiar with the mobile market, and I'm really curious what happened to the idle gaming, because we saw such a sudden urge in revenue, and I'm curious what you all think about the causes of this, because it's really fascinating to me.
So the interesting thing is for me is you have like a time to rapidly grow.
What about idle games? What happened? Once again, response to the market, because idle games, they were popular several years ago in hyper-casual. We all remember like Green Panda games, and very simple, stupid idles. And by the way, that's why we don't have Green Panda right now in Euros. But okay, I'm joking. It was perfect. At that time it was perfect because it suits market demand. But once again, it was falling. As on my graphs, it was falling, and it was time to recharge. It was time to rethink the whole subgenre, and it was rethink. And what we see right now that even I'm not speaking about casual. I'm not speaking about strategies and idle tycoons like not hyper casual, but even if you speak about tech, hyper casual and idler. It became more complicated, it became more familiar to strategies. Once again, there is an idle game like Idle In by Sergey Games, and if we speak about this so-called this part of City Builder, it has almost the same pipeline and framework like very complicated mid-core strategy Whiteout Survival. But Whiteout Survival makes 20 million in-app revenue per month, $20 million. And Idle In maybe 200,000 per month. But if we speak about this city building part, it is very similar. But in the first case it is hyper casual, in another case it is super strategy. And really, it is a title, I know these guys. It is strategy made by 200 employees. Like, you know, so they earn their money for some reason, they understand what they are doing. And yeah, it is like transforming it. It was time of decline and to rethink the genre, to respond what's happening in the market. And finally we saw that a lot of idols and as well as idle arcades, like this build button is another input with more micro control, not macro, but micro control.
Yeah, I was about to say that I think Arcade Idol, at least on the hyper casual side, really helped also bring people toward idle and tycoon games. It was a way to refresh the genre with this subgenre in a way. And I think this is what we're saying. You keep on playing with a character as a discovering, fighting, many different mechanics. But then you still have this idle economy behind it that would work. And I think it really helped bring a new breath of pressure. I mean, you could see that every successful, I would say, arcade idol were basically old successful idle game where you just had to control character, and I think it's like a cyclic industry everywhere, and then there's a full of genre, and then a new genre coming up, and then people getting educated, liking this idle mechanic behind it, the economy, and then going back to better idle game.
I would just sum it up saying that in Ukraine we're saying that everything new is good forgotten old things, and basically industry is recurring. So having it now, we'll see that idle games will potentially slow down, and in a couple of years they will come back. And our main task here is actually to predict it as fast as possible and be the first one to get it. That's all.
No, I don't think
I think we got time, and thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Like, we can come together.